AI is changing the way that we look at batteries under the microscope. And actually with this improved understanding, we're really excited about the opportunities, for example, to build better electric vehicles. So lithium-ion batteries are something that we all rely on every single day. Our cell phones, our laptop computers, but increasingly our electric vehicles, all underpinned by lithium-ion batteries. So they're a technology that are all around us. As we rely on these batteries for increasingly demanding ranges of applications, from tiny batteries for implanted devices through to really large batteries that might be partnered with intermittent renewable energy generation, we're asking more and more from these energy storage devices. Now, all of those different use cases, the consumer electronics, the electric vehicle, the electric flight, will place different demands on the battery. In our own research, what we've been doing for now more than 10 years is leveraging microscopy tools to look inside a battery, find out what those materials look like during operation, find out how those materials change when they're cycled hundreds or thousands of times. And then with the understanding of how a battery should operate in a real-world scenario, we can begin to explore a more diverse portfolio of batteries. And that provides us an opportunity then to match-make the right battery with the right application. The first wave of AI-enabled microscopy tools that we've been using have been really super exciting, because having had 15 or so years experience of X-raying batteries and battery materials, I kind of have baked-in expectations for what a given experiment is going to look like. We look at all kinds of different materials, but it's rare that you get a sort of eureka moment because you're kind of used to what you would expect. And that means that if you are imaging a battery or a material that has a certain size, you kind of build up an intrinsic understanding of, well, this is my expectation in terms of what the resolution we'll be able to achieve. The really exciting thing that we've seen with the AI-enabled tools is it's really changed that assumption that I've had for a decade and more's experience of imaging these materials, because we've been able to look at much larger objects with much higher resolution than I would ever have expected had been possible previously. So what AI is enabling for us is a complete reframing of the possibilities for how much you can see within a sample and how big that sample can be. And that might sound a bit esoteric, but actually it's super, super important, because that means we can look at more statistically relevant samples. We can look at samples in more realistic operating conditions. We can look at larger samples and zoom right into the particle that is either causing the problems or is solving your problems. And so being able to challenge this relationship between the volume of sample you can image and the resolution that you can achieve, which is increasingly being enabled by AI, is, I think, really a new frontier for microscopy. The other point that I would sort of recognise as a key challenge from the industry is making everything more sustainable. And I think there is increasing global consensus about the impacts of climate change and the need to fix this. But we need to fix it quickly. So when we think about the pace of change where we need to adopt zero carbon energy generation, storage and conversion technologies, it means that we need to really accelerate the way in which we are deploying, but also accelerate the way in which we are developing the next generation of those energy generation, storage and conversion techniques as well. For me, net zero is an enormous challenge, but also an enormous opportunity. We now have at our disposal such a broad array of sophisticated instrumentation that will play a central role in being able to accelerate that innovation process. And embedding sustainable thinking and understandings about the circularity of the battery economy and all different points of the battery supply chain, I think is really critical. The instrumentation, often enabled by AI, will enable us to much more rapidly iterate and optimize that materials design and deployment process in order to achieve the ambitious timescales that are required for net zero.